Hello, 7th grade, and welcome to Lesson 6 in Chapter 3. Today we'll be discussing multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Let's dive right into example 1. All right, it says multiply and write each answer in simplest form. Okay, that's a big idea to remember. Another important few other things I'll point out to remember when we're working with multiplying. Remember our integer rules is same sign equals a positive answer. Different sign equals a negative answer. Okay, so here I've got a negative 12 times a positive 3/4. So we have different signs, so in the end my answer should be negative. Okay. Another hint that is helpful to remember is you can write whole numbers as fractions by placing 1 in the denominator. Okay, so for example, negative 12 here, if I want to make that a fraction, I can just write it over 1, because negative 12 divided by 1 is negative 12. All right, so use those couple helpful hints here as we're working through this. The last helpful hint that I'll give you is remember when you're simplifying, you can simplify before you multiply. All right, and I'll kind of point that out as we go through this. So our first step would be to write negative 12 as a fraction. Like I was just saying, here and here. So it's the same thing as negative 12 over 1 times 3/4. Okay. Then here's where next it talks about simplifying. And the hint is look diagonal. So we've got negative 12 over 1 times 3/4. Look diagonal. 3 and 1, well, their greatest factor that they have in common is 1, so can't simplify that at all. 12 and 4 are both divisible by 4. Okay, they have a common factor of 4, so you could divide each of these by 4. 4 divided by 4 would be 1, and 12 divided by 4 would be 3. So that's where they come up with 3 and 1, because they're simplifying and finding what factors are both of these numbers divisible by. Okay, so then you need to multiply the numerators. So in other words, I sometimes say this as top times top. So 3 times 3 would give me 9. And I'm going to bring this negative sign along. Remember, we already determined that in the end we'll have a negative. So 3 times 3 is 9 over on bottom. You also need to multiply the denominators. In other words, bottom times bottom. 1 times 1 is 1, and negative 9 divided by 1 will just give us negative 9 for our answer. Okay, let's go on to the next example, and actually to the next problem, and try letter B. It says 1/3 times 3/8. And first we can do some simplifying. Okay, if you look diagonally, 1 and 8, can't simplify there. 3 and 3, well, they're both divisible by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and this 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, and that's what the same thing they did here. Okay, again, multiply your numerators. So on top, 1 times 1 is 1, and then on bottom, multiply our denominators. So 1 times 8 would be 8. So 1/8 would be our final answer. Okay, in the next example, now we have a situation where we have a mixed number. Remember, a mixed number is where you have a whole number with a fraction. Okay, so 1 and 2/3 would be our mixed number. And the trick to doing these types of problems is first write the mixed number as an improper fraction. Okay, that's the first step. So remember, to do that, you need to take, 1 2/3, we'd take 1 times 3, our whole number times our denominator. So 1 times 3 is 3, and then add your numerator. So 3 plus 2 would be 5, and we keep our denominator. So 1 2/3 as an improper fraction is 5/3. Okay, so that's just rewriting this. Now I can look at my problem and simplify first if I can. Well, 5 and 5, you can divide each of them by 5. So 1 and 1. And then we can multiply both our numerators and our denominators. Okay, top times top, bottom times bottom. 2 times 1 would give me 2, and 1 times 3 on bottom would give me 3. Okay, now some students like to simplify in the end. That's okay. Let me show you what you would get if you just simplified in the end. So say we just had 2/5 times 5/3, or what we had after we had made our mixed number into an improper fraction. 2 times 5 would give me 10. 5 times 3 would be 15. So we have 10/15. Well, each of these numbers has 5 as a common factor. So 10 divided by 5 would give us 2, and 15 divided by 5 would give us 3. So that simplifies down to 2/3, the same thing we got when we simplified first. Okay, I think it's a little bit quicker to simplify first. That's why I like to do it that way. All right, go ahead and flip to the back side for letter B. And this time we have 2 mixed numbers, so we're just going to have to make both of those numbers into improper fractions right away. Okay, so write the mixed numbers as improper fractions. Remember, improper fractions when your numerator is greater than your denominator. So, for example, like 6/5, the numerator is greater than the denominator. That's an example of an improper fraction. Okay, let's make these into improper fractions. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21. Keep my denominator of 5. The next number, 2 1/7. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So this would be 15/7. All right, next step, I am going to look to simplify. 5 and 15 look diagonal, have a common factor of 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 21 and 7 also have a common factor of 7. They're both divisible by 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 21 divided by 7 is 3. Okay, they got the same thing here as well when they simplified. So 3 times 3 is 9, over 1 times 1 is 1 when we multiply our numerators, top times top, and multiply our denominators, bottom times bottom. Or same thing, 9 divided by 1 is 9. Okay. Let's go on to our last example, which is the word problem. It says in 2001, the car toll on the George Washington Bridge was $6. A car toll is when you pass from one area to the next and they charge an amount of money. It helps pays for the taxes to take care of those roads. That's why they have car tolls. In 1995, the toll was 2/3 of that toll. Okay, what was the toll in 1995? Good reminder that of in math a lot of the times means to multiply. Okay, this is a good hint to know for word problems. So So picking up when I take 6 and I multiply that by 2/3, what the book is trying to remind us here is that, remember, multiplication is the same thing as repeated addition. So 6 times 2/3 means 2/3 added together 6 times. So 6 times 2/3 is the same thing as 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. Okay, you get it. Plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. It's 2/3 6 times. If we were to do it that way, remember when we add fractions, we need a common denominator. Well, we have a common denominator of 3, and then we just add our top numbers. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, 8, 10, 12. So we get 12/3, and simplify that. Well, 12 divided by 3 would give us 4. So what was the total? 4, and write it as a decimal, $4, 4.00. Okay. George Washington toll for a bridge was $4.95. And that makes sense because obviously over time, you have to think about inflation and rising prices, and usually that's a pretty common theme. Now, I just want to quickly show you that if you were to multiply those, you would get the same thing. Okay, so 6 over 1 times 2/3. Simplify first. Divide by 3 is 1. Divide by 3 is 2. On top, we'd have 2 times 2 would be 4. And on bottom, 1 times 1 is 1. Same thing as 4. Okay, so just a good reminder that multiplication is repeated addition, and you would get the same answer either way that you did it. All right, we're going to end today with the 2 check it year out problems. So if you would, please pause the video, show your work, and try 1 and 2. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to do that. Let's review. It says in 2002, the fee to park in a parking garage was $4. In 2000, the fee was 3/4 of the fee in 2002. What was the fee in 2000? Again, here we see this of. Of means to multiply. So I have 4 times 3/4. I'm going to write 4 as a fraction. And I'm going to simplify first. Okay, 4 and 4, divide each by 4 would be 1 and 1. And then multiply numerators. So 1 times 3 is 3. And 1 times 1 is 1. 3 over 1 is 3. And if I'm talking about money, I'll write it in decimal form. So $3 and no cents. And then lastly, number 2, I have a negative times a positive. So different signs. In the end, I'm going to have a negative answer. Doesn't look like I can simplify it all here. 3 and 8 don't have any common factors. 1 and 7 don't have any common factors. So I'll just multiply across. 3 times 1 gives me 3 over 7 times 8 is 56. So negative 356 for my answer. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions on this one, 7th grade. That's all I have for today, and I'll see you next time.